The violence of the war continues to increase, while the war between Russia and Ukraine is in full swing. Putin, who ordered the start of the war, undoubtedly did not expect such a long resistance in the face of the start date of the war. Outside of Russia, the majority opinion was that Ukraine would not be able to resist for so long. However, at the moment, the Ukrainian heroes continue to teach Putin's invading army a lesson. Ukraine resolutely continues its struggle to expel Russians from its countries. The Western countries and the European Union are the biggest supporters of this struggle. Since the beginning of the war, they have been imposing serious sanctions on Russia and targeting the economies of its occupying forces. As for Russia, it is experiencing economically difficult times these days. They have serious problems economically, since at the beginning of the war they planned that the occupation would not last so long. The most important issue that the world is wondering about in this regard is how long Russia will withstand these economic sanctions. However, it seems that Russia has found a rather unethical solution to this situation. Senior Sudanese officials have suggested that Russia smuggled tons of gold from Sudan. The authorities have announced that they are financing the war started by Russia in Ukraine with the gold they looted from Sudan. Russia is trying to solve its economic problems in the war by these illegal means. This is the first time this issue has been raised since the beginning of the war. It seems that the invading Putin seems to have kept this situation a secret. Already, the actions that Russia has been committing crimes since the beginning of the war are on the agenda. According to reports made available by Sudanese officials to the chamber, a Russian plane landed in Russia in February, when the war began. Continuing the statements of the authorities, it was stated that this plane, which actually landed in Sudan with a plan different from its purpose, and Russia took the gold looted from Sudan to Moscow in this plan. It was just announced that this plane, along with one plane, smuggled close to 1 ton of gold from Sudan to Russia to Moscow. The officials who published the report stated that there were a total of 16 Russian planes that landed at Khartoum airport in February, and that all of them were used by the Russians to smuggle gold. On the other hand, an informant from the Central Bank of Sudan said that it was not disclosed where 32.7 tons of gold exported in the country went. According to the current situation in the markets, $1.9 billion of gold has either disappeared somehow, or, according to the Sudanese authorities, was smuggled by Russia. Again, according to the officials, the missed gold reserve amounts to 90% of Sudan's gold production. Putin continues to make new moves for the battlefield, trying to keep Russia's economic situation afloat by illegal means. The invading Russian forces had been threatening the countries opposing them with nuclear weapons since the beginning of the war. Although nuclear threats are taken seriously from time to time, no one thinks that Russia will not use nuclear weapons. Experts expect that if such a war breaks out, other countries will be involved in the incident. In particular, the United States has said that it will return a nuclear bomb that Russia will drop on Ukraine in response to Russia. That is why Russia is wary of using nuclear. Now let's get back to the news from the field. Russia has long been trapped in the east of Ukraine. Although he wants to move forward, the heroic Ukrainian soldiers do not allow this. Russia had recently started work on getting out of the city of Donetsk. All plans were ready, the operation was to begin at night time. But the Ukrainian army knew about this in advance. They had placed an agent inside the Russian army. The Ukrainian agent reported to Ukraine at the cost of being deciphered because the operation that Russia was going to carry out was very dangerous. Thanks to this, the Ukrainian army has laid traps and deployed troops on the roads through which Russia will pass. Russia took action at night time. And when they arrived at the site of the Ukrainian troops, they heard a noise in the air. That was the voice of Mraktar TB2. At a moment when the Russians were trying to figure out what was happening, the Ukrainian troops began to open fire. On the one hand, HIMARS missiles joined the Bayraktar TB2 firing convoy on the other. The Russian contingent disappeared without firing a bullet. It is said that the agent in the Russian army was deciphered, but no information has been shared about his identity. Zelensky made statements after this operation. We have shown the strength of the Ukrainian army to Russia. A country that thinks it can beat us easily is pathetic right now. He will never be able to beat Ukraine. This war is a loss for them, Slava Ukraina said. Zelensky is moving forward as decisively as on the first day. The Russian army is having a hard time with the strength given by having a morale-boosting army. The Russian army is losing morale over morale. Recruits are trying to find a way to escape from the war. The soldiers who were caught running away are being arrested. However, according to the statement of the family of an arrested soldier, he has not been heard from for about 1 month. It is not known what Russia has done to the fleeing soldiers. The Russian army does not want to fight under this mobbing. Unable to respond in the face of the strength of the Ukrainian army, Russia is very close to losing the war. Ukraine is trying to get Russia to leave its country unabated by the support it has received from the United States. And within Russia, the upheavals do not stop. During Putin's last meeting in the Kremlin, a discussion broke out. Some people said that Putin's desire to continue the war was too unnecessary. Putin has been pursuing the invasion initiative no matter how unsuccessfully since the beginning of the war. This situation necessarily annoys some Russian officials. During the discussion between Putin and the authorities, Putin expelled the people who were arguing from the room deck. This situation made them even more angry. One of the expelled people said that we will not be able to turn to Putin and win this war. On top of that, Putin told them, "You are people who don't understand anything. Go read the newspaper at home. You have no business here," said. Then the expelled persons left the room. That's where the real problem starts. One of the people who came out was very angry at Putin's attitude. And he met with a Ukrainian official to tell him everything he knows. We haven't been able to get all the details of the interview. But according to the information we have obtained, the Russian official told the Ukrainian official about Russia's plans during the war. According to the Ukrainian official, the information provided by the Russian official is the kind that could cause Russia to lose the war. If this is not a plan of Russia, the course of the war may change at any moment. Russian President Vladimir Putin may have made a big mistake by expelling Russian officials from the room. Or it could be a game set up against Ukraine. This is not yet known. This kind of incident has never been seen in Russia before. But it becomes even more difficult to believe, as confidence in Russia is decreasing every day. For example, Russia bombed an area near grain in the Odessa port 24 hours after Turkey signed its grain agreement with Ukraine. Although Russia remained silent for a long time about the reactions, it later said in a statement that the port shooting was a tactical attack and that nothing had been done to disrupt the agreement. But Ukraine does not think so. The lives of the port officials in that area were put in danger. Officials who were coming from Turkey could also have been there. Russia openly tells the whole world that it does not care about you. If Russia continues in this way, there will be no countries left to support it. Putin, who also did not get what he wanted on the field, was the subject of ridicule on the ground. It's been 6 months since I said that I would take Ukraine in 3 days.